the meeting to order at 6:32 with Sandy Reil as an alternate serving. Roll call.
Mr. McCasland, Mr. Christian, Mr. Hagar,
Here.
Ms. Maddox, Mr. Russell.
Here.
And we need a...
And you're here.
And I'm here, yes.
Sandy here. We need a motion to approve the minutes of April 5th. Has everybody looked them over? And
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 5th.
roll call. Well,
Second.
yeah,
Second
I guess I can second.
Can I vote on that, or do I need to abstain?
I would probably, I mean, you were here.
I was here.
I would probably wait till next month or next
kind of what I
meeting.
thought.
Okay.
He wasn't serving as a member at that point.
From what I understand, even a member that was absent can vote on the minutes of the previous meeting.
You really shouldn't, because if they weren't there, they don't know what happened. Even though they could say, well, I read them and I understand them, they
Right.
weren't here to listen, so they really shouldn't vote on them.
Okay.
So we'll hold that to the next meeting.
Sounds good. So the first thing on the agenda tonight is the Lighthouse Apartments LLC special use permit. So apparently it was a previous use that you discontinued, and
Correct.
now you want to restart what you're doing. So exactly what were you doing and what are you going to be doing?
The process we use, we recycle blacktop that we take out of driveways, turn it back into stone, put it back underneath driveways.
Okay.
It's all portable equipment. It was set up there before. I had it there from 2014 to 2019. Moved it to South Junction Road because we had a bunch of product over there that we had dumped there, so we did it. I'm in the process of possible sale of South Junction Road, so before I move the stuff back up here, I wanted to check and make sure that it still worked.
Okay.
I am the only one that runs it, so it's not a production that we sell to the public. All we do, we bring it in on our trucks, we bring it back on our trucks, we use it underneath our paving operation. We don't sell to the general public, and we don't haul with any other trucks in there other than our own.
Okay. And you're currently using part of the property for some of that stuff, that similar activities already? I mean,
Yeah.
trucking and repairs and such?
Yeah, and we've always hauled fill in and out that we take into jobs,
Okay.
store topsoil there, that kind of stuff. And from the aerial, you can see where the operation was set up before.
Yeah.
The blocks are still there. I just wanted to make sure before I committed to the sale, I put the sale contingent on being able to recycle our product.
Okay. Were you operating under a special use permit before, do you know? I mean, would that...
No, to be 100% honest, because we bought the property from the quarry, this is very similar to the screening that's done on the 400 acres behind us.
Okay.
So I just assumed that it was the same use that it was always used for.
Okay.
And then I just didn't want to shoot myself in the foot by selling the other property till I came here and made sure that it was continued.
Okay. Alrighty. So, I mean, it looks like it's in the general zone. I don't know, Bill's not here, so it looks, from my look at the map anyway, it looks like it's in the general zone. That's why it needs a special use permit, but it is, pretty much fits into the environment back there. I mean, that's what, there's a lot of mining, a lot of sand beds. You've been doing that kind of thing there before.
Yep.
Any comments or questions about it, or?
I mean, it sounds like if you were doing it before, and you're just bringing it back to its...
Yeah, we never had
It's-
we never had a complaint, and same thing, we own our 3 houses that are in front of it. You know, we're never gonna do something detrimental to,
I'd say the property, homes around it would be affected anyway.
Closest one would be his.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna mind too much.
no, and that's 400 yards, 500 yards from where it's at.
Do you have like hours of operation, Corey, or anything?
We do more in the summer, or the spring. Once it gets warm, the recycling product doesn't work well, because when you go to squish it, the blacktop doesn't break down like it's supposed to. So we mainly do it during normal working hours when it's cool. End of February, March. You know, we don't do a lot in the summer.
So it's seasonal.
Yeah, and it's only me, and I pave all summer, so it's just, we put up a stockpile, and then since 2019 to now, In the spring, even though we did it on South Junction Road, we trucked 50% of the product we made to Morrisonville, stockpiled it here, and then used it when we were in this area. So number of trucks and stuff, it's roughly the same,
Right.
because we were bringing the product in anyway, so.
Okay.
Just what's involved in doing the mechanics of what you do? Is there equipment involved, or how do you do it?
Yep, there's excavator running, and the actual processor is the same as a W9 International farm tractor. Figured that'd be right up your alley, didn't know.
Just an
That-
engine-driven
Belt-
sift,
belt
grinder,
Yep.
sifter type of thing.
Yep, and that's it.
Alrighty.
We do have to do seeker.
Right. So let's see. So we did complete the first section of the seeker.
Yeah. And before we do seeker, somebody has to make a motion that this, that the town of Schuyler Falls Planning Board be deemed lead agency for the purposes of seeker, and that this particular action be deemed an unlisted action.
Right. I think Matt was going to do that.
I'll make that motion. Just like you said it. Sounded good.
And I will second that. We need a roll call on that.
Probably should, yeah.
Mr. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Russell.
Yes.
I will also vote yes.
Now, I see on my copy has been pre-checked, but we just probably need to review it and decide if that's correct or not.
Yeah, we need to, yeah, I mean, if I may, please?
Sure.
If you don't mind, I mean, yeah, so the part one, which has been completed by the applicant, we just need to review part one, see if anybody has any questions or comments with respect to part one.
I did not, I looked at it.
Okay, and if not, then we can move on to part two. Then what I normally do for seeker is I'll read through the bullet points, and then at the end, we can go back and say, does anybody have any comments regarding impacts that they see regarding the bullet points? So under part two again, which is our job to complete. First, number one, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? Number two, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or an intensive use of land? Number three, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Number four, will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? Number five, will the proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? Number six, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Number seven, will the proposed action impact existing A, public-private water supplies, B, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Number eight, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Number nine, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, for example, wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? Number 10, will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? And number 11, will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or to human health? So then based upon those bullet points, we look and see whether or not anybody feels there's any moderate to large impacts, or are there any impacts that anybody would vision regarding those bullet points and what's being proposed.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that there would be any moderate to large impacts from what you're proposing.
Because at worst, you think it may be a no or small.
Right.
And if that's the case, then a motion I think can be made to have what's called a negative declaration issued for the project, meaning there are no moderate to large impacts and or really no impacts that would be involved regarding this particular application. So you need that motion.
I'll make a motion that the project does not have any significant adverse environmental impacts.
I'll second that.
Ken, if I should do a roll call, Sandy, just to be safe.
Mr. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Russell,
Yes.
and I will also vote yes.
Okay, seeker is completed. So now you can go back and have further discussions on the application. If anybody has comments, if anybody wants to, feels conditions need to be attached or whatever the case may be.
Well, it seems like it's pretty much a use that had been, that fit into the use of the property before. You didn't have any complaints, and you're not looking to expand the number of hours or the size of the pile of asphalt you're going to grind. I don't know that there would need to be any additional conditions on it other than, than what you were doing before. Not thinking of anything else, because it's basically just a couple machines out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
There's no additional facilities required or anything like that. Your location is pretty well buffered and pretty well sheltered and hidden from anybody anyway.
Yeah, I guess the only thing would be, Corey, if you decided to expand beyond like what your operation was and or is going to be, you may have to come back and see us if it gets bigger, you start building buildings or things like that, you may have to come back.
I'm not
do that.
in my career, guys, that I want to get smaller.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, if it's gonna be an expansion of what's
Right.
being permitted, you'd have to probably come back and see the planning board piece.
The nature of it, I mean, if he's doing it just for his own purposes as opposed to if you suddenly start the, Clinton County asphalt recycling plant on site or something like that.
Back to the previous state, smaller.
Alright. Well, I mean, so do we have to, according to here, it said we still have to put it to a public hearing in another meeting, or how's that?
Is this not advertised for public?
Was this a public?
It was advertised as
The
an
site
application that
as
was
a-
being addressed tonight.
Okay, so it's advertised as public, okay. Yeah, because this did not need to go to the county, which sometimes when it comes to us, we need to go to county.
Right.
We would send it to county first, and then it'd come back, and then we'd have a public hearing. But it was set for public hearing, I think, tonight, correct?
Well, it's,
It doesn't say, the ad in the paper did not say public hearing. It said that we would be holding a regular meeting to address this application. Typically, in the past, what we've done is we've gone over the application and then scheduled a public hearing for the following month.
Okay. Then that still needs to happen.
right, okay. So, all things considered, we would need a motion to schedule a public hearing for the application for the next month.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing
In a second,
for,
I'll get you a date,
And at
7th.
that time, if there was
June
somebody
7th.
to advertise to the public who wants to make comments, if you have neighbors that were unhappy, or if you have neighbors that want to tell us that it's great.
Can I make that for 6:30?
16.
You said that was June 7th?
Yes.
Okay, so that's,
Did you second that, Pete?
yes, I will. If I didn't. June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretentious date.
So,
It's a date that will live in infamy.
are you gonna, is
June 7th?
Yeah, isn't it?
December 7th.
Oh, is it December 7th?
December 7th?
It's one of those 7ths. I wasn't there.
Did we have a motion in a second?
We have a
Yes.
motion in a second. We just need a roll call.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mr. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Russell?
Yes.
And I will also vote yes.
Okay. See you on the 7th.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. And I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
You can go right. Good seeing you.
And you too. Thanks, guys.
I will fill out this bottom part of the seeker and give it to Sandy, so she has that.
Okay.
Alright.
Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
Do I need to
I don't think you really need to stamp it.
stamp the seeker?
We haven't
Probably not.
approved
No, we haven't approved
the
anything.
map yet, so you really don't need this.
Give me just a second. Okay. any new business? I don't think Bill will give us anything to address, any old business that needs to be readdressed?
The only thing I'd probably say is, I think at the last meeting we talked about looking at some different applications for whether it's subdivision, site plan, things like nature. I pulled a couple from some other towns, and I gave them to Sandy tonight, so she can circulate them to you if you want to do that, Sandy. We can have some discussion, maybe at some future meeting regarding those, just to see what people think, and
Right.
and if we make some changes, some of the applications, whatever, we can talk about it, then make the changes, send them to the town board for their review and approval, and go from there.
Because one of the things that does sometimes get confusing, and I've seen other towns do a public hearing, then they address the project all in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Where our procedure has, it has planning board, preliminary review, seeker, then a hearing within 30, hearing within 62 days of that first addressing, which it's kind of like, well, a little bit backwards, but
Yeah, I mean, different boards do it different. There are some boards that, like I said, they'll get the application, they'll look at it, and then they'll say, okay, does it need to go to the county for review? Do we need something else? Is it complete? Do we need more information from the applicant, whatever the case may be? And then they have that discussion, and if everything looks okay, they refer to the county, schedule for a public hearing, and go from there. So, I mean, it's not necessarily anything wrong with the way the process is. It just depends on how I guess the custom is and how it's been done.
right,
Well, that's something that we can look at.
right.
Sure.
I mean, we can't change it, but we can certainly tell the town board that it's something that could be changed.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that's, been there a long time.
Yeah.
One other old business thing, I know last week we had an applicant who came in for the special use permit that had to get a variance, I think a use variance.
Yes.
I don't know if he pursued that, but I did hear, I think I see they've got the forms up for a giant concrete pad.
I think they actually filed an application for it, because I think it's on the zoning board agenda.
Okay. But, I mean, I heard from Bill that, the contractor called him up and says, so should I pour concrete? And Bill's like, no. I mean,
No.
they don't have a permit, they don't have a use variance, I don't know if they have a building permit, so.
Yeah, they probably don't,
No.
because it's not an approved use, so they
Right.
shouldn't be getting,
No, it's not
there
approved
should
use.
not be a
So,
building
the
permit issue.
last,
They
so
don't have
nothing
it.
appears to have happened, so just
Yeah.
that was a,
There is an application pending in front of the zoning board.
alright. Well, I mean, I think he's anxious to start, but he needs to follow the proper procedures.
Right.
That's the only other old business that I had.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Russell,
Yes.
I agree.
Perfect.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you. Let me give you this,
Yep. Find that.